Well, that's step one. Hey, friends and revolutionaries! Here to take a look at something pretty different. Very different, actually. Well, maybe not so different after that Lego review. But yeah, I was at my local hobby shop taking a look. Well, I was buying some glue. And I was taking a look at some of the model kits that were out. And turns out that I found a line of models from Flame Toys, Furry Models, and it is the model kit Optimus Prime G1 version. G1 Optimus Prime model kit. Clearly. But very cool. Very cool. It's something where, from what I've found out, this is very much in line with the Bandai Gundam model kits. And I can remember back during, oh gosh, Electronics Boutique. If anybody remembers that old game store, Electronics Boutique, I actually got some of those Bandai model kits import. And I don't know if they were Bandai at the time, but I remember putting those together and they were so cool. It's something where I've moved a few times since then and they didn't survive the move as well. But yeah, to think that that style of models, that snap together model kit is now being introduced with Transformers, and they may have been that way for a while, but this is the first time I've seen it, and I am really excited to give it a shot. To take a look at the packaging, we've got the great painting, this great portrait of Optimus Prime, which I really think is going to be one of the few times that I can say that the outside packaging image really does convey how the final model figure is going to look. That is actually really cool. The image continues to the top where they see the top of his gun. Again, we got Transformers model kit Optimus Prime G1 there. Nothing on this side, just more of the carryover of the backdrop. Kind of disappointing. And then the bottom of Optimus Prime's legs. So, like a lot of model kits, you know, they don't really show you a whole lot. They give you an image on the front, you know, kind of get you excited, but then nothing really on the sides. There is a portrait of Optimus Prime on this side, but it's really just a close-up of what we get on the front. It is, what is it, Transformers Authentic. Got that black Transformers bar that we see now on the figures. So it is Transformers Authentic. It even has the Hasbro stamp of approval. So there you go. The back gives you another close-up, but this one is of the actual model, which I think is pretty cool. Under the section for details, it says, design reveals a modernized and shape optimized Optimus Prime G1 version. So if by that they mean kind of an iconic Optimus Prime, I would agree. I would definitely agree. Under articulation, good articulation with 40 movable joints. Any pose can be set easily. And they've got a couple of really nice poses here. The best one, I think, being this one right here, kind of that leaping pose from Transformers the movie when he arrives on Autobot City. That is a great pose to be able to show that you can do. And I don't think it's going to be too tough. If those Gundam models were any example, yeah, this is going to be able to be a fun one to be able to mess with. The sprues, under the content, it says, with different injection color of runner parts and simple assembly design, it is suitable for model kit beginners. So basically, again, you know, like those Gundam model kits, like the Bandai kits for Dragon Ball Z, there's no glue. You shouldn't have to really paint anything. I have a feeling I may. I think I may be adding at least a wash to it. But yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do first is we'll take off the shrink wrap and we'll see what comes in the box. So no going back now. Let's see how it turns, what we get inside. And the box is very cool. The box is very cool. I don't think I'm going to keep it, but it's still very, very cool. And that's the sound of that is a model. That is the sound of a model kit for sure. So we'll take this off. And inside we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bags of parts. The translucents, the red primarily, blue primarily, and the white, and gray. Well, gray and darker gray. I did see down here, we've got the instructions. Oh, nice. Very nice. Very cool. Yeah, it's nice to know that that no matter what Transformer product you get, you're going to get instructions. Oh, and it looks like we've got some decals. So that's reminiscent of G1 Optimus Prime decals. Haven't had that too often with some of the modern Transformers. Let's see if we can get those out real quick. Nifty. Alright, that's kind of let's cruise through the instruction book just real quick. Okay. The fingers, the hands, the arm. Yeah, doesn't look terribly complicated, lots of steps. Looks like the gun is one piece, it looks like. And then that's supposedly what our final product is going to look like and be able to do. So, at this point, what we'll go ahead and do is we'll pop the parts out of the pack, take a look, have some fun. Be right back. All right, so we've got Prime out of his box, off the sprue, and pieces assembled, and this is actually a fantastic G1 Optimus Prime. This is actually a great Prime figure. I mean, the model building aspect is fun. I'd say, you know, sitting around just kind of, you know, listening to some music and relaxing at my work desk. You know, I think this maybe took me about 2 hours build time, just casual. You may be able to throw them together faster. Some people might take a little bit longer. I think just for somebody who's just doing one of these for the first time, 2 hours is about a 2 hour build time. And again, the final product is just a fantastic representation of a G1 Optimus Prime in his robot mode. It's disappointing that that, you know, it's not anything that we'll see his diesel, his cab, but it's still a really great Prime. And I think, again, for anybody who enjoys model building, that elements to it too. You know, you get a final figure, despite the fact that it's a model you have to assemble. The final figure you got to get at the end, it is worth it. It is a rewarding build for sure. Taking a look now, I was really tempted to get a black wash and just kind of give him a black wash all around, because when you look at his details, there's several spots where, you know, there you could get a benefit of some of getting some shadow in the recesses. If the light catches it, there we go. If the light catches it in the right places, you'll see where again, just a simple wash over the figure, I think would have done an amazing job and really given it an entirely different feel. The decals, the Autobot decals that are on his shoulders, I left them off thinking I would do the review and then do a wash and you know, actually kind of give them a little more battle damaged look. But I really realized that that's not what this is. If you have a chance, you've got two of them, go for it. I would say you may want to get some spray paint and do a Nemesis Prime custom. But for this figure, if this is the one that you're doing for the first time, leave it as is. Maybe add some chrome to the smokestacks, to his grill, to the face mask. You know, maybe something like that. But overall, I would say that you could leave the figure just as he is, off the sprue, out of the box, put together, because he's a G1 Prime. He's going to have these primary colors, these sharp, bright, vibrant colors, and this does this just amazing. It's an amazing done amazingly. It's going to be something where I don't know if unless you're a big enough Transformers fan, I don't know if the work that you put into him and the final product you get is going to be any different than what you might get from, say, a well-engineered Hasbro figure. But I would think that if you enjoy putting together model kits, if you're a model builder, this is not a bad project, and it is a great figure, not just model to put together, but a great figure when you're done. I mean, this is solid. I mean, he does not come apart. He holds together really well. So I would say that that for the build and for the final product, overall, yeah, he is pretty good. It is not a bad Prime at all. I did not have any problems with any of the parts save one, and I guess we'll go ahead and we'll kind of talk about everything real quick. First off, taking a look at his face, again, you can really see there on the top of his head and his helmet, there are those ridges inside his helmet that I think a black wash could have done a better job, you know, bringing out. There we go. It is not bad at all, and it looks better in person. But that's one area I think could have been a little improved on the top of his head. His eyes have the same translucent blue as the windscreen. I'm sure for people who do custom work on these kind of figures, the back half of the helmet, actually literally the whole back half, you could probably take this off to add some light piping or maybe an LED to take advantage of those translucent eyes. There's not much room in there, but I'm almost positive you could if you do that kind of custom work, or if you do 3D printing even. The shoulders, well, the head, it is on a double ball joint. There's a ball joint at the neck and then a ball joint at the helmet. So he gets quite a bit of range of movement in his head. There are butterfly joints in his shoulders. The arms come up and out. Twist at the bicep, double joint at the elbow, and twist at the wrist. And the smokestacks themselves actually turn as well. They don't pop out. They're on a ball joint that's actually held in place, so they won't pop off. But you can move them a little bit off to the side so that, you know, depending on how you're trying to pose him, you can get those out of the way. His torso has two parts. There's the upper chest, which, let's talk about the upper chest real quick. The upper chest does swing open. And this one piece right here, this is the only part that actually had some difficulty. I had to heat it up to snap this on, because on the hinge, when you open it up, inside is the matrix. I know it's hard to tell, but that should be the matrix. And again, you know, if you want to paint the figure, add some chrome to the smokestacks, his mask, you might be able to add some bronze and silver to that matrix inside. It has a translucent blue kind of nub there. So again, if you want an LED or something like that, you can probably really make it stand out. But there you are with the inside of Prime's chest. The decals, the Autobot decals, I did wait to see about, adding that wash. He does have decals for his lights on his chest, which again, a bit of a wash would really probably have brought those out. I am probably going to wait and just get a paint pen and just dot those lights on there. I'm not going to try and put those little bitty decals on there. They're going to come off, I can tell you already. The upper torso, well, both the upper and lower part of the torso both come on a ball joint. So he's got a really radical backwards pose as well as forward. Forward's not so bad, but the backwards, you can see it leaves a major gap where his grill is. So you're not going to pose him that far back. Same thing with the lower part of the torso. Nice forward bend, backward. It's almost, there's a sweet spot like right about there where it seems to be where it belongs. I mean, it gives him a twist at the waist. Even gives him a bit of a twist, a bit. Well, okay, not so much because the grill is there. But it gives him a twist at the waist. I'm just not sure why a ball joint was necessary because, again, too much one way, or not even too much, just a little bit one way or the other kind of leaves that gap. On his waist area, kind of this part right here, much like the shaggy shorts on the Master of the Universe figure, it does cover the joint for his upper leg, but the problem is that whenever you're posing him, you have to lift this up here and lift this out to the side here to give it the clearance based on what you want to do with the leg. If you don't, what it'll do is this will push up against the skirt, the waist piece, this pelvic area, this cod piece, whatever you want to call it, and it'll start to pry that apart. You can kind of see where that kind of wants to come apart if you don't move these ahead of time. So you'll find that the waist will pop apart if you don't move these out of the way first. This front piece I'm not so worried about. It's on a ball joint and it's in very well. This was very well engineered. This piece though is on just a simple little peg that could get pulled out pretty easy. I'm not as comfortable with this staying in place as I am with this. So far it hasn't given me problems, but I don't know, just makes me a little uncomfortable. Leg comes up, out. Got the twist at the thigh, double joint at the knee. Got the hinge or ball joint at the foot. Twist of the toe, or a hinge at the toe. So for an Optimus Prime robot figure, you're going to get to do a lot with him, which is really the point. Again, you're getting the build time and what you put into him is going to be worth it when you're done. His accessories, there are a few, mostly in the form of hands. They're pretty much carbon copies of each other. So there's a set of each. There's the fists, which you can see here. All right, with those blue arrow or the yellow arrows from his forearms. You have the pointing fingers, one for each hand. You get kind of the grasping hands. And we'll take a look at each of them kind of on their own. You get the gun hand with the trigger fingers. And then lastly, his open hand, which I don't really know if there's a whole lot I would do with this. He also comes with his energy or energon. I guess you'd call it an energon axe. It's got the little nub there, so if you wanted to, you can go ahead and pop the hand right out. They just pop right out. And that pops right in there. I know they have a Megatron figure. I don't think it's the G1 version. So I'm assuming that at some point we may see a G1 Megatron with his mace. But there's Prime with his orange Energon axe. Let's go ahead and pop in the pointy finger, which, depending on how you take advantage of his articulation, you can give him kind of his speech. He's kind of giving a speech to the other Autobots, or kind of the PSA. Kind of thing. But at the same time, if you go ahead and pose him like this, and let's go ahead and let's do this. Let's grab the next hand, which we'll go ahead and take a look at his gun hand with the trigger finger and his ion gun, which is almost as iconic as Prime himself. I mean, I think anybody who sees this weapon, like a lightsaber, this is actually very iconic. Prime's gun is an iconic weapon at this point. But you can see it fits in, and it's molded right to the trigger exactly the way it's supposed to. That is that model engineering. It's really great. We'll pop off the fist, put in his gun. Let's lift this up, Kind of give him a wider stance here. And so there you are, Prime calling out or warning of or pointing out a Decepticon attack. So again, there's a lot you can do with this figure. The amount of articulation that he's got can really change the feel of what you're doing with him. There's just no doubt that this is a display piece that when you're done, you're going to want to find a pose that you like and display him in that pose. I like that one. I like that one. That's a good one. But just taking a look at, say, well, you know what? We're going to come back to that hand. We're going to come back to this one here. Let's get the fists out of the way. Let's take that one out of the way. Take that out of the way. Let's do this one. And say this one right here. Take his grasping hands. Open up his chest. And with the double jointed elbows, you can actually get him in a pose kind of the Transformers equivalent of the opening shirt Superman kind of thing. Opening his chest and revealing the Matrix. Give you a little bit of close-up look on that. I mean, if you want that kind of moment, where Prime's opening his chest, letting the Matrix's power be released, you could do it. You could certainly do it. I don't know if that's the way I want my Prime looking, kind of showing off his chest, but you might. You might, and that's okay. That's one of the benefits of this, is you can do pretty much anything you want. We did get his thumb popping off there, which I guess is okay, because you can kind of see how it works. All the parts are pretty much just friction, held in place friction-wise. Friction joints. I don't know exactly how you want to refer to it, but that's how it pretty much gets held in place. And it holds very well. I'm not going to complain at all about you know what we end up with, how it's held together, how it works. It looks great. If you're like me and you do have some of the flight bases, if you got a chance to check out that video, you could go ahead and twist his arm a bit. Again, lifting up the waist pieces. It's leaning back a little bit. And let's lift up the camera. And you probably do a better job if you spend a little more time on it. But you can get the leaping Optimus Prime from the movie. Base doesn't come with it. Base is separate. Take a look at my last video, or depending on when you're watching it. But take a look at one of my videos. I'll show you where I got these at. But overall, a really good Prime figure. As I said, I think it's going to depend a good deal on how you feel about the character themselves, because you do have to put in a bit of work for the finished product. It's worth it, in my opinion. I think it's very worth it. Is it $50 worth it? Because that's the retail price I've seen it at. $55. For that price, there are several of the actual Hasbro transforming Optimus Primes you may want to go with. One of the prefabbed actual Transformers. In this case, though, for a model kit, for an Optimus Prime, for a G1 figure that's primarily just a display piece, I don't think you can go too far wrong. I would say this is something that you might want to check out. I am going to pick up the Thundercracker. Windblade is, I believe, available for pre-order, so I definitely want to look into getting a Windblade. They have a Megatron. Again, I don't think it's a G1 Megatron. I'm going to wait and see what I find there. But I do think that depending on the price, if you can get it at a good price, if you can catch them on sale, these are definitely worth it. If you're Transformers a fan as it is, and you don't mind dropping $55, $60 on a model kit, go for it. I would highly recommend it. For anyone else, if you're looking to get into these kind of model kits, not difficult to put together at all. It's a good afternoon project, and you get a great figure when you're done. You don't get some static kind of statue, but you get a fully articulated figure. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest benefits of this, is the fact that you put in the work, but you do get quite a bit out of it when you're done. So I hope everybody enjoyed watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, join the revolution. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.